I'm Natasha Busst and this is Nightline, the top stories. U.S. tariffs, ASEAN needs to establish agreement to strengthen negotiation foundation, says Prime Minister. Pipeline inferno victims to receive 10,000 ringgit in aid. Malaysia and ASEAN countries need to unite and come to an agreement on a suitable response to the tariffs announced by the U.S. to ensure that upcoming negotiations and discussions have a solid foundation. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said although the tariff announced by U.S. President Donald Trump was made on questionable grounds, ASEAN countries should not take the matter lightly, especially in the current uncertain global economic and political climate.
Kita berdiri tegap sebagai suatu kelompok yang besar, ya. Kerana ASEAN ini jumlah penduduk 640 juta, kekuatan ekonomi di antara yang utama juga di dunia kalau digabungkan keseluruhannya.
Anwar said this during a speech at the Prime Minister's Department staff meeting in Putrajaya on Monday. According to him, a special meeting of ASEAN economic ministers starting this Thursday will examine the U.S. administration's latest announcement on tariffs to seek solutions. Anwar stressed that ASEAN must unite and use its strength in harmony and numbers to find ways to combat the tariffs, adding that the move by the United States was flawed.
Kaedah penentuan tarif yang diputuskan itu dengan asas yang dipertikai, kerana beberapa negara yang disebut itu termasuk, tak salah saya, pulau-pulau yang hanya diduduki oleh penguins. Itu maknanya mungkin belum benar teliti.
Thus, the government is taking a moderate approach to the 24% tariff imposed by Trump on Malaysia.
Tapi bagi sebagian negara, tentunya sebahagian kita mahu ambil keputusan yang agak terlalu keras, tapi kebijaksanaan rakan-rakan jemaah menteri ialah untuk pertamanya menentukan apa yang diputuskan secara terperinci, kerana kenyataan itu umum.
The Prime Minister also expressed confidence that there is room for discussion and negotiation for a fair and satisfactory solution for all parties. Meanwhile, Putrajaya will seek an explanation from the White House on the 24% tariff rate on Malaysia. For that purpose, the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry, MITI, will send a delegation to the United States at the end of this month. Previously, Malaysia stressed that Washington's basis for calculating tariffs was inaccurate because it was based on a decreasing trade deficit. The ministry said the actual average tariff applied to U.S. imports into Malaysia is 5.6% based on the simple average most favored nation MFN applied rate. Meanwhile, the government's decision to engage in negotiations with Washington alongside strengthening regional cooperation in response to the U.S. tariffs issue is seen as the right move. Analysts say this approach will reinforce investor confidence in the country's economic direction.
This is the right move, as dealing with such conflict via diplomatic means would demonstrate our maturity among our leaders. And leveraging on ASEAN platform as a collective voice would signify our seriousness to fair trade and pro-business policies, which can be beneficial to the U.S. economy.
A growth of 4% is still achievable and still at the respectable rate for this year. But this is subject to overall and holistic analysis, which I think still early to judge now.
Homeowners whose properties were completely destroyed in last week's gas pipeline fire in Putra Heights, Subang Jaya, will receive 10,000 ringgit in aid, double the amount previously announced. In addition, Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Shari announced on Monday that owners of partially damaged houses and tenants will receive 5,000 ringgit. Amiruddin stated at a press conference that the first session of aid distribution began on Monday, involving 219 households that have been registered and verified by the Selangor Disaster Management Unit.
Adalah sebanyak 5,000 daripada Petronas yang dikawal selia oleh pihak kerajaan negeri, 5,000 lagi daripada kerajaan persekutuan. Maknanya rumah tertolak akan menerima RM10,000, manakala rumah yang terkesan dan juga penyewa-penyewa akan menerima 2,500 daripada Petronas dan 2,500 daripada kerajaan persekutuan melalui ICU.
He said distribution will be carried out in stages and in a transparent manner, with each recipient being called individually by the disaster unit to verify their eligibility. Amiruddin added that the Malaysian Fire and Rescue Department has inspected all 437 homes affected by the fire. A total of 81 homes were confirmed to be completely destroyed, another 81 were classified as partially damaged, and 57 had caught fire but without structural damage. The remaining 218 homes were found to be undamaged. Now, Amiruddin also revealed that damage to homes affected by the Putra Heights gas pipeline fire is estimated at 65.4 million ringgit. The figure is based on the initial damage assessment of the affected homes, including the cost of electrical wiring repairs. According to Amiruddin, the situation has entered the recovery phase, which involves home repairs, cost assessments, and the restoration of infrastructure damaged in the incident. However, assessments of damage to public infrastructure and nearby areas are still ongoing.
Dengan tindakan pantas oleh pihak bomba dan penyelamat dan juga pasukan penyelamatan kita telah berjaya menyelamatkan nilai lebih kurang 285.9 juta.
The state government will also provide rental assistance of 2,000 ringgit per month for 6 months to 613 households affected by the incident, with an allocation of 7.35 million ringgit. The list of beneficiaries will be finalized next week. As of 11 a.m. on Monday, 151 homes have been officially declared safe and their owners have been allowed to return. Meanwhile, Amiruddin announced that 265 affected students will receive 500 ringgit each in aid. The contribution, channeled through the Menteri Besar Selangor Incorporated MBI, will be distributed from Thursday. According to the latest data, 76 students are currently staying at 2 temporary relief centres, including 34 secondary school students. Amiruddin said a small number of students are still struggling due to the April 1st incident and are receiving targeted assistance to ensure they do not fall behind in their studies.
Justru pihak Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri akan menghantar pegawai dan juga mereka yang terlibat untuk melakukan ataupun membantu pelajar-pelajar yang terkesan di PPS untuk meneruskan sesi pembelajaran dalam keadaan bencana.
UMNO Tapah Division Secretary Dr. Muhammad Yusri Bakir has been named the Barisan Nasional BN candidate for the upcoming Air Kuning State by-election on April 26. BN Chairman Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the decision was made after a thorough review that considered the candidate's background, reports from various stakeholders, and acceptance among local voters.
Jentera BN dan PH akan berganding bahu untuk menggerakkan jentera masing-masing bagi memenangkan Dr. Yusri dalam pilihan raya 26 April.
Ahmad Zahid added that a victory in Air Kuning is crucial for the unity government, reinforcing its mandate in the state. The announcement was made by Perak Menteri Besar and State BN Chairman Datuk Sri Sarani Muhammad in the presence of top leaders from both BN and Pakatan Harapan, along with over 5,000 party members and supporters. Earlier, Zahid chaired the Central Committee meeting in preparation for the Air Kuning by-election scheduled for April 26. The one-hour-long meeting was attended by top Barisan Nasional leaders, including BN Deputy Chairman Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan, UMNO Vice President Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani, and BN Secretary General Datuk Sri Zamri Abdul Qadir. Also present were MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong and MIC Deputy President Datuk Sri M. Saravanan. The meeting focused on strategic planning and coordination efforts ahead of the by-election. Police have identified 7 students in connection with a bullying incident at a Mara Junior Science College MRSM dormitory in Nibong Tebal, Pulau Pinang. Although the incident occurred last year, it only came to light after a video of the assault went viral on Monday. The 1-minute 31-second video shows a group of male students pressing down on the head and body of another student who was lying face down on a bed. The victim was also seen being whipped with a belt. Mara chairman Dato Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki informed TV3 that the students involved have been suspended to ensure a transparent investigation into the case. Ashraf stressed that Mara takes a zero-tolerance stance on bullying and applies a policy of strict disciplinary action.
Sebab itulah dalam hal ini saya sering mengatakan, you touch, you go. Kalau berlaku dan didapati bersalah, kita tidak akan berkompromi dan kita akan bertindak tegas sehingga menamatkan pengajian pelajar-pelajar terbaru.
Separately, police confirmed that the incident took place mid-last year at the Nibong Tebal MRSM. According to Seberang Perai Selatan Deputy Police Chief, Deputy Superintendent of Police Muhammad Nur Azmi Abdul Ghaffar, all 7 suspects and the 15-year-old victim will have their statements recorded. The case is being investigated under Section 323 of the Penal Code. Despite recent market declines, Malaysia's stock market has remained relatively stable compared to other countries. According to Second Finance Minister Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan, the local market continues to show resilience thanks to the strength of domestic institutions.
And in Malaysia, because our institutions are actually quite high liquidity, they're using this opportunity also to strengthen their portfolio as we move ahead. So I think this is part and parcel of what normal financial markets will happen. There will be periods that will be high volatility. But again, like normal things, you should not panic. You should look at opportunities as they present themselves.
He was speaking after launching the Malaysia Open House exhibition at ASEAN 2025. Amir Hamzah added that Malaysia will also work closely with ASEAN partners to enhance regional resilience in the face of U.S. reciprocal tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday that foreign governments would have to pay a lot of money to lift sweeping tariffs that he characterized as medicine. Speaking to the media, Trump indicated he was not concerned about losses that had already wiped out trillions of dollars in value from share markets and oil prices around the world.
What's going to happen with the market, I can't tell you, but I can tell you our country has gotten a lot stronger. And eventually, it'll be a country like no other. It'll be the most dominant country economically in the world. I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
Trump added that he had spoken to leaders from Europe and Asia over the weekend who had hoped to convince him to lower tariffs as high as 50% due to take effect this week. Wall Street's main indexes opened sharply lower on Monday, with the S&P 500 on track to confirm bear market territory. This comes as investors seek refuge in government bonds amid economic worries over the fallout from Trump's sweeping tariff plans. The S&P 500 fell 181.37 points, or 3.5%, to 4,892.71, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average shed 1,191 points at the open, a drop of 3.1%. The European stocks also sank on Monday. The Pan-European Stocks 600 index fell up to 6% earlier in the session, but had pared losses to 3.2% by 3:30 p.m. London time. Frankfurt's DAX index plunged up to 10% in the morning before retreating to a 2.2% loss. Asia fared worse, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index plunging 13.2% and Tokyo's Nikkei 225 falling 7.83%. Trump's tariff announcement also caused oil prices to extend last week's losses on Monday, with both Brent and U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, falling 3%. await balloon sellers' medical reports. This and more from the local front after this breather. Police are still waiting for the full medical reports from the Sultan Idris Shah Hospital in Serdang regarding the injuries suffered by a balloon seller who was involved in a scuffle with Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL officers at Jalan Tuanku Abdul Rahman on March 28th. City Police Chief Datuk Rusdi Muhammad Isa said at present the police have only received an initial medical report from the hospital which confirmed that the individual, Muhammad Zaimuddin Azlan, suffered a fractured bone and soft tissue injuries. According to Rusdi, the police are expected to receive the full medical report within 30 days. To date, 4 police reports have been received regarding the case, with the most recent being filed by the vendor at 11:50 a.m. on Sunday at the Dangwangi District Police Headquarters.
We record statement first. Record statement dia akan bagi kita beberapa laporan awal lah, kecederaan tu sebagai apa, blunt force ke, and then kalau patah tu bagaimana patah.
So far, more than 11 individuals have been questioned, including 9 DBKL officers and 2 civilians, one of whom is a balloon supplier. 3 investigation papers related to the case have also been completed and submitted to the Deputy Public Prosecutor on April 2nd and 4th. Meanwhile, the internal investigation by DBKL into the incident involving 3 of its enforcement officers who have been placed on leave is now at its final stage. In a statement, DBKL said that since the matter is also being investigated by the police, they have chosen not to comment further at this time. This decision aims to respect the investigation process and ensure it proceeds smoothly, transparently, and without interference. In Negeri Sembilan, a 35-year-old soldier was charged in the Seremban Magistrates Court on Monday with injuring a woman driver late last month. Abdul Hafiz Abu Bakar pleaded not guilty after the charge was read to him before Magistrate Syed Farid Syed Ali. Hafiz allegedly committed the offence by punching the 28-year-old woman in the head at Taman Satria, Senawang at around 10 p.m. on March 29th. The charge under the Penal Code for voluntarily causing hurt carries a penalty of up to 1 year in prison or a maximum fine of 2,000 ringgit upon conviction. The court granted the accused bail at 2,000 ringgit with one surety and fixed May 19th for case mention. Previously, a video went viral showing a man punching a female driver near the Taipan Senawang commercial area. The incident is believed to have occurred after the man became enraged, claiming that the woman had hit his child while the child was crossing the road. An elderly woman was found burnt to death after a fire raged through 16 squatter houses at Jalan Tanjung Kidurong in Bintulu, Sarawak on Monday. A total of 92 residents were left homeless after their houses were completely destroyed by the blaze. A spokesperson from the State Fire and Rescue Operations Center said 14 firefighters from the Kidurong and Bintulu stations were deployed to the scene after an emergency call was received at 11:06 a.m. Firefighters took about an hour to bring the flames under control before discovering the charred remains of the victim, identified as 77-year-old Nui Ipang. The body was handed over to the police for further action. The cause of the fire and the total losses are still under investigation. Saudi Arabia suspends visas for 14 countries. The details when Nightline returns. Saudi Arabia has temporarily suspended the issuance of several visa types for citizens from 14 countries ahead of the Hajj. According to media reports, the temporary visa freeze aims to reduce overcrowding and boost safety during the Hajj. Saudi officials stated that the suspension is linked to increasing incidents of pilgrims misusing Umrah and visit visas to perform Hajj without registration. It further stated that the 14 countries impacted by the decision include Egypt, India, Pakistan, Iraq, and Indonesia. The restrictions are part of broader efforts to tighten controls ahead of Hajj, which takes place from June 4th to 9th. India's weather department on Monday issued a heat wave alert until Wednesday, with soaring temperatures in parts of northern India, including the capital, Delhi. The Indian Meteorological Department, IMD, has predicted extreme heat across Uttar Pradesh for April, May and June, with temperatures expected to stay above 40 degrees Celsius, especially in the Bundelkhand region. The IMD has also issued a yellow alert, signaling tolerable heat for the general public, but causing potential health risks to infants, the elderly, and people with chronic diseases. With temperatures getting hotter in coming days, air quality also becomes a growing concern, with the air quality index up 209. Another 2 people were reported dead on Monday after a medical helicopter carrying 6 people plunged into the sea in Japan on Sunday, taking the total deaths to 3. Local media reported the female patient was killed at the scene, while her male caretaker and doctor were both pronounced dead on Monday. The other 3, including the pilot, nurse and helicopter mechanic, were conscious despite suffering hypothermia. The cause of the crash is yet to be determined. The 6 people were on their way to a hospital in Fukuoka from an airport in Nagasaki Prefecture when the chopper crashed. South Korea has set June 3rd as a tentative date for a presidential election to pick former President Yoon Suk-yeol's successor. The date will be confirmed at a cabinet meeting on Tuesday. Acting President Han Duck-soo plans to confirm the schedule during a cabinet meeting to designate and approve the election day as a temporary public holiday, given the significance of the matter. Following Yoon's impeachment last Friday, the National Election Commission has already begun early candidate registration, which must be completed by May 11th, with the official campaign period to kick off on May 12th. Switching to sports now. Once seen as just a casual sport, pickleball is now making waves across the country. The increasing number of local clubs, tournaments, as well as the idea of including pickleball in national events, such as the 2026 Sukma, highlights its growing presence. However, is this rise in popularity merely a passing trend? Nightline's Adrina Lee reports.
From a niche sport to a rising sensation, pickleball is growing fast in Malaysia with more courts being built and an increasing player base. It is well enjoyed by all walks of life. The question is pickleball a passing trend or is it here to stay? Pickleball, a hybrid of tennis, badminton and table tennis, was invented in 1965 in the United States. Since its invention, pickleball has continued to evolve with formalized rules, marking a major milestone in its development. Malaysia is taking a step forward in the pickleball scene with the development of international standard courts that enhance competition and provide players with the proper training environment needed to meet global standards.
Which are taken, first of all, there are many pickleball opening up, but to come to a regional hub, you need an international standard court. So when this kind of our players train on this kind of courts, it's much easier for them to compete on the same ground when they are playing in US or nowadays Vietnam, or there's so many tournaments happening all around the globe.
Recognizing the sport's potential, the government has also shown strong support for pickleball. According to Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh, initiatives such as providing students with free access to professional pickleball facilities will encourage early participation, expanding Malaysia's pickleball community in the future.
Apa yang saya suka mengenai inisiatif memberikan akses percuma kepada pelajar sekolah adalah untuk memastikan pembangunan bakat itu akan berterusan.
For pickleball to maintain long-term success in Malaysia, consistency and adaptation are crucial.
About trends, it goes ups, it goes downs, and some they can survive there. it depends on the how consistent they are bringing these sports, and sometimes you always should have upgrade.
Among the challenges for pickleball to thrive in Malaysia is the high cost of court rentals. Pickleball court rates are higher compared to the rates for badminton and tennis, hindering local communities from hosting regular games and keeping the sport active.
All associations, all the national bodies, especially government, they need to come together and help and bring pickleball to a very affordable rate where they can play.
With continued effort and the right strategies, pickleball might be able to overcome the challenges and become a prominent sport in Malaysia, contributing to the country's growing sports landscape. Adrenali for Nightline, TV3.
Spring rolls around, flowers have started blooming and colouring across Leeds, attracting visitors all around the world to the beautiful flower gardens. Let's take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Natasha. Thank you for watching and stay safe.